What is up, guys? Welcome back to CageChat MMA. We are here, of course, for the UFC 267 preview by Jan Blachowicz versus Teixeira for the light heavyweight title. And of course, we've got Petr versus Cory Sandhagen for the interim bantamweight title after Aljamain Sterling had to put out due to an injury and having surgery, etc. So we've got cracking bouts for the title, and of course, we've got an absolutely stacked main card. Of course, we've got Makhachev versus Dan Hooker. We've got Marcin Tybura taking on Alexander Volkov. We've got Xingliang Li against Hamzat Jamali's returning, of course, and we've got Magomed Ankalaev versus Volkan Ozdemir. A cracking main card. And of course, outside of that, we've got Amanda Hebus returning, we've got Liam Murphy fighting Makwan Namikhani. It's just one of those cards that is phenomenally well put and well made. And of course, it's on at prime time today, which does mean we will be doing a UFC 267 watch along, of course. We had to for this one. Obviously, being in the UK, it's a UK primetime card. It's an absolutely stacked card also. So we'll be going live at 7 p.m. for the main card, and we'll be joined by Gary from MMA Casuals at Europe_MMA on Twitter. So make sure to go give him a follow and subscribe to MMA Casuals. Of course, they've had me on a couple of times on their channel now. Always a good laugh talking to the boys about our favourite sports. But today we've got Jan Blachowicz versus Teixeira. This is a fight of two men who have been through the ringer of this sport. They've been through the ups and the downs of MMA and through the UFC. I think at one point, Jan Blachowicz was 1-4. But of course, since then, he's been on a fantastic run and he's now become the light heavyweight champion, beating Dominic Reyes in the same building, I believe, if not definitely the same city in Abu Dhabi. And that fantastic fight where he battered Dominic Reyes for 2-3 rounds. Became light heavyweight title. Of course, John Jones vacated the belt last year in his hunt to become a heavyweight champion or fight a heavyweight. We're still yet to see that. But, of course, Jan Blachowicz picked up the title 253, and then he went on to fight Israel Adesanya, of course, coming up to 205. And Jan Blachowicz looks fantastic, of course. Obviously, Israel Adesanya came in around the 200-pound mark. He didn't bulk up and cut back down to 205. He just came in at his natural weight with a couple of pounds added on, really. So, Adesanya looked good, but Jan Blachowicz obviously took over the fight in round 4 and 5 with those takedowns and won the decision fair and square. There was no animosity or no sort of qualms as to a robbery as such. It was a Jan Blachowicz win, and the Jan Blachowicz deserved the win also. And he's coming back now for his first light heavyweight contender, defense, and the fact that it's Teixeira, of course. Teixeira, as you mentioned, been through the ringer now in this sport. He was looking like he was on his way to following the steps of Junior Dos Santos, Alistair Overeem, Chris Weidman's, Luke Rockhold. He was going down that path of winning one here and then losing the next 3 or 4 and going on a horrendous run and losing those 4 pretty bad as well. He went 3-3 in 6 fights, wins against Jared Cannonier, Misha Serkinov, and Carl Robertson, and he'd lost to Anthony Johnson, Alexander Gustafsson, and Corey Anderson. Now, of course, those are all elite light heavyweights they'd lost to. So you're thinking he's come to the top of this hill here, and he's his peak's gone. He's going out gracefully in the spot. Maybe we'll see him in a different organisation, but no, he turned that around against Carl Robertson, and since then he's gone on a 5-fight win streak, defeating Iron Kutalava, Nikita Krylov, Anthony Smith, who he absolutely decimated. A lot of people forget he took a lot of punishment in that first round against Anthony Smith. Of course, Smith gassed out, and obviously the tide turned at Teixeira. They absolutely dominated the fight from there on, and deservedly became the number 1 contender. Now, of course, with Israel Adesanya entering the mix of the title picture, a lot of people are thinking, oh, maybe Glover's not going to get his chance. He's going to be another year older by the time that fight comes around. But we are here. And, of course, the Tory Paulo Costa fight week had a lot of turmoil, a lot of controversy with Paulo Costa, not making weight. But this week's been very smooth. It's been 2 gentlemen, 2 absolute gladiators, 2 warriors who have seen and done everything in the sport. Other than in terms of Glover's Teixeira's side and become UFC champion, it's the only bit that is not fulfilled in his career. He's thought all the young guns, he's thought previous generations, current generations, possibly even future generations in a couple of the fights now. Anthony Smith, maybe lesser, but the Kutalavas and the Nikita Krylovs, they've still got a lot of career to give in the UFC. Of course, and Jared Cannonier is obviously doing about 185 now. So, he is 41. 42 now, so I think this is the second. When you merge the 2 fighters' ages together, this is the second oldest fight in UFC history. Bisping and Dan Henderson 2 being the number 1 for that record. But let's have a look, of course, at the tapes. 28-8, 31-7. So these are 2 very weathered veterans who are seeing an India summer to take Adam Catterall was saying. They're seeing a late bloom in their careers. Both 6'2", Baker came in at 205. No questions about the weight. And, as we mentioned, we saw the Paulo Costa fight week. These two have been ultimate professionals in what they've done. They've been absolutely first class. They've been very friendly to each other, very respectful with each other. And sometimes you think, maybe you need a bit of needle in a fight for a fight to sell. But these two, they're authentically themselves. And I think that also sells equivalently as well, or equally as well, as someone, pulling out a gimmick here and there, pulling out some animosity that might not be genuine, you could say. But we have got a 2-inch reach there for an advantage in Blachowicz, and he's also got an 1.5 inch advantage there as well on the leg reach as well. So Glover's coming in just a little on the back end of that, but he's certainly got the heart of a warrior, as does Blachowicz. But it is set up. Personally, I think Jan Blachowicz could be a little bit too much for him. I think he's going to be a little bit fresher, a little bit cleaner, and I think he takes him out in 2 or 3 rounds. But for Glover Teixeira, this is, the ride or die moment. This is, all or nothing for him. He wins tonight and becomes champion. He fulfills that dream that many thought he wouldn't do after that loss against John Jones. If he loses tonight, it might be his retirement. So it is very much, he's going in there with little pressure because not many people are thinking of him winning. A lot of people are thinking, this might be his last dance, which might come out as a more beneficial approach to Glover Teixeira because there's no pressure on him. There's not really anyone prodding him saying you have to win this or you're going to retire or you're not going to be in the sport anymore. You're not going to get another chance to this. A lot of people saying, you deserve this moment, you deserve this opportunity for all the work hard work you've put in, and rightfully so. But I think, if Glover wins, fantastic. I'd be happy with that. It'd be interesting to see what he does after that. If he vacates the belt or if he does make one defense, maybe against Jiří Procházka. Jiří Procházka's next in line, but I do want to see Jan Blachowicz versus Jiří Procházka a little bit more, especially if they put out a fight in Europe. That fight actually banged in Poland or Czech Republic, put it in a 60,000 stadium in Gdansk or somewhere like that, or in Warsaw in Poland, and you get the roof blown off the gaff. To use Paddy Pimblett's saying, of course. But I do think Jan Blachowicz gets it done. I think he's at slightly higher ceiling right now in terms of the competition. He's beat Israel Adesanya, Dominic Reyes, Cory Anderson, Jacare, and Luke Rockhold. All fantastic wins. I'd say they're all slightly a notch above the wins that Glover Teixeira's had. In terms of, Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith, Nikita Krylov, Ian Cutelaba. To be fair, Thiago Santos and Dominic Reyes are probably on an equal path. Both of them aren't in the greatest state of form right now and probably need to turn things around since their title shots themselves, they've not looked fantastic. But they just need to get their confidence back, I would say. So yes, it's a fantastic fight. So let us know in the predictions down below or in the comments down below. Who are you going with? Do you think it's going to be Jan Blachowicz or Glover Teixeira that walks away with the light heavyweight title? And that moves us on nicely to, of course, the bantamweight division. We've got the interim bantamweight title on the line between Petr Yan, the former undisputed champion, and Cory Sandhagen, the number 3 contender, I believe he is, with TJ Dillashaw and Petr Yan himself, 1 and 2, and obviously got Aljamain Sterling, the undisputed champion, who was supposed to be fighting tonight but had to put out due to an injury and surgery that he had on his neck. Of course, this division's become very much a talking point. It's one of the best divisions in MMA and UFC. Well, UFC and MMA as a whole. It's an absolutely phenomenal fight. You've got James Gallagher versus Patchy Mix happening next week in Bellator. You've got bantamweights all over the globe putting on shows for us. And it's certainly, in my opinion, the best division in MMA. Of course, Aljamain Sterling did walk away the title earlier this year after a disqualification from Petr Yan via that illegal knee. Rightfully so. I think it was the right decision. It doesn't matter how hurt Aljamain Sterling was. It was Petr Yan who threw the illegal blow and rightfully got disqualified. It doesn't matter on what scales or injured and incapable of competing Aljamain Sterling was. It was down to Petr Yan. Now, of course, a lot of people think Sterling isn't the legitimate champion. He is the legitimate champion in the fact that he won the belt, but I guess he still does have to prove himself as the champion. Obviously, he beat Cory Sandhagen last year, very dominant win as well. But obviously, Sandhagen since then has beat Marlon Moraes and Frankie Edgar with 2 fantastic highlight run knockouts that will kick into Moraes and the knee against Frankie Edgar. So I do think he's a more dangerous threat to Petr Yan than people give him credit for. It's a fantastic fight. If you're giving me the option of no, both are good rematches for Aljamain Sterling. Both are rematches that you go, I don't like this fight for Aljamain Sterling, whoever wins tonight, because obviously, Cory Sandhagen wins. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He looks phenomenal. It looked like he had his the wind blown out of his sails after that Aljamain Sterling defeat, because he was cold in that first round, and Aljamain Sterling just put an easy work on him and got a submission. For Petr Yan, he's gonna be hungry because he wants that belt back. He wants his belt back. He knows he made an error. It doesn't matter, to me at least, what Aljamain Sterling done. It was on Petr Yan, so he's going to be wanting to get that belt back and right the wrong that he caused in February or March this year. And again, I look at Tate got 15-2 against 14-3. Now, this is the big discrepancy for me: 5'11" versus 5'7" for Cory Sandhagen, or in favour of Cory Sandhagen. He's got a 3-inch reach advantage and 2-inch leg reach advantage as well over Petr Yan. And I think this is where the fight really makes my mind up for me. I am going with Cory Sandhagen. If you look at Petr Yan's last 3 fights, they have been against shorter, stockier opponents in Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber. Aljamain Sterling had a little bit of reach to him, but again, his biggest wins, Jimmy Rivera, John Dodson, they have not been against the biggest, larger opponents. Now, Cory Sandhagen's 5'11", he could probably fight at featherweight, or maybe even lightweight if he would bulk up. Definitely featherweight with the height that he's at, the reach he's got. He's in that Max Holloway ballpark, sorry. And I do think, Jan's going to need to get in. He's going to need to close him down. He's got a lot of power. He's got some good combinations. He's got fantastic leg kicks. So can he kick the legs out of Cory Sandhagen, who's quite a methodical worker? He's not someone who's going to put a beat on you. He's going to put a pacing on you. He's going to keep calm, composed. He's very, he's not someone who's outlandish. He's not very brash in his talk, and he's very calm, composed. Almost boring, but I mean that with all due respect. He comes out very professional. And I do think he catches Jan at some point, either with a knee or a kick. Whether that is enough for Jan to resist, I'm not too sure. But I do think Cory Sandhagen comes out and gets the win. But again, it all depends on which Sandhagen shows up. If it's Sandhagen that shows up against Marlon Moraes or Frankie Edgar, he walks out of this with a win. But if he walks up, a bit cold, like he did against Aljamain Sterling, Petr Yan might just eat him up alive. I'm thinking those car kicks could come in a lot of damage. But having said that, Sandhagen looked great against TJ Dillashaw, a former champion. Many people thought Sandhagen won that fight, of course. Dillashaw took a lot of damage, but Dillashaw did get a win. And of course, this is where this fight always comes into. There's questions of it, because obviously it's first and third, both coming off losses. TJ should have probably had this fight. You got Jose Aldo in the wings, you got Rob Font. Of course, those two are fighting in December, and the winner, I'd guess, would be the next in line for whoever wins tonight against Aljamain Sterling. I guess it'd be we've got 2 semi-finals this year, and then we look to build a final next year, I guess you could say. So yes, but I'm going with Cory Sandhagen. I don't know if it'll go the entire distance. If it does, then I would say Sandhagen's probably won a decision. I think Petr Yan's got to go in there and finish him if he wants to win this fight. Obviously, both of them got great gas tanks. We saw that in the fight between Petr Yan and Jose Aldo. We saw it in the most recent fight between Sandhagen and Dillashaw, of course, as well. But yeah, I do think Sandhagen's going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a good, phenomenal performance from Petr Yan either. Thinking about those leg kicks and his boxing, because he has got good boxing. It's just whether he can close that gap between the height discrepancies for me, and whether Cory Sandhagen can pick his moments, because he's quite unorthodox in his striking. I think Petr Yan said in the press conference that he does a bit too many movements. He does, and he can show weaknesses there. But I think on the flip side, maybe a few feints here and there, throwing out that jab, testing Petr Yan's mettle in terms of and ability to withhold, and maybe he throws off a flying knee or a kick, and we see a highlight reel knockout once again for Cory Sandhagen. And that leads us nicely to Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker. Now, Dan Hooker is the man of the moment, isn't he? This past couple months, he only fought UFC 266 1 month ago. Of course, he beat Nasrat Harakprasad by a decision. Of course, there was all the talking points going to that. He flew in on Wednesday, made weight on the Thursday, or made weight over Thursday onto the Friday for weigh-ins, and he thought, what a fantastic fight. He showed his wrestling pretty well. Obviously, Dan Hooker's known as more of the striker, obviously coming from City Kickboxing. But he looked fantastic, and of course, this guy has been 5 rounds with the likes of Porthaldo. He lost to Dustin Poirier, but he gave Dustin Poirier a good run through his money. He went 5 rounds with Poirier. He's going to be fighting for the title next month against Charles Oliveira, or 2 months' time. Let's say in December at 271 or 269, sorry. So yes, obviously that was a split decision when against Porthaldo. Again, a lot of people thought maybe Dan Hooker got the rub of win because it'd been in Auckland, New Zealand. But he's been there and done it, whereas Islam Makhachev still yet to be tested in the waters of the top 10 opponent. Obviously, his last fight was Sarah Moises. There's no thought there's only been matched up with Rafael dos Anjos 3 times. That fight's broken down 3 times, hence why he's had to take short-term opponents or short-notice opponents. And no one really in that top 10 has been willing to go, oh, you know what, I'll take the fight on 2 weeks' notice, 3 weeks' notice. Other than the hangman Dan Hooker, and that's why he's probably one of the baddest guys on the planet. Of course, he welcomed Michael Chandler to the UFC back in January, got viciously knocked out by Chandler, of course, and Chandler went on to fight for the title. So a win tonight for Dan Hooker certainly puts him back in contention for that title, puts him back in the top 5. But if you're looking at, both of their sort of resumes, you've definitely got to say, if you was someone coming to the sport for the first time, you think Dan Hooker would be the higher ranked opponent, and that Islam Makhachev coming here to take the crown, but it's actually vice versa, isn't it? But Makhachev, he beat Sarah Moises, fantastic. He beat Drew Dober, fantastic. Daddy Ramos, fantastic. Arman Sarukian, fantastic. Those are his last 4 fights. But if you go to Dan Hooker's last 4 fights, okay, Hatparest was an unranked guy, but a difficult and dangerous matchup for him to take because he's lost that. You then go, he's lost 3 in a row. He just lost to an unranked guy. Dan Hooker might not be about it anymore. But he won that fantastically. Obviously, he lost to Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, former Bellator champion and a UFC interim champion. No, shocking losing that. We saw what he's done to Conor McGregor. Since then, Dustin Poirier's looked absolutely phenomenal and probably, at the top of the division, albeit he's not got a gold wrapped around his wrist. I think many people he's the champion without a belt, almost, so to speak. Before that, he'd beaten Paul Felder, like Quinton James Zick, lost to Jan Blachowicz. He's got a win against Gilbert, Jim Miller, Mark Diakese, Ross Pearson. So he's got an absolute, he's got the resume to be able to beat Islam Makhachev. I don't think there's anything that Dan Hooker's gonna witness tonight that he's not seen previously, and both of them got very similar records. And we'll take a look at the tail tape. 20-1 against 21-10. So yes, Hooker's lost a lot more fights, but he is one of those fighters that are going to come in and probably give it all he's got. And sometimes that doesn't always stick to him. He doesn't always come out with a win, but he looks he always gives us a good fight. And I think he's going to give us a good fight tonight. He has got a couple inches over Islam Makhachev. He's got a huge reach advantage, 4.5 inch in reach, and obviously 2 inches in the leg reach advantage as well. So again, it's going to be one of those ones. I'm going to see a repeat of what Michael Chandler done to him, where he's very low stance and he's looking to come in with overhand rights, overhand lefts, threatening the takedowns, but ultimately using that low balance, that low center of gravity to almost draw in Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's thinking he's going to go for the takedown, and then boom, overhand right connects with Dan Hooker and he drops. And of course, Chandler gets the finish. Now, Makhachev is more likely to go into the takedown up against the fence, and really, clinch with Dan Hooker. Can he get him down? Can he get his back, etc.? Or can Dan Hooker, stay around the outside? Can he use those kicks to his advantage? Can he use those, extra inches that he's got on through the arm? Can he use that with the punches? He's probably one of the best rounders that Makhachev has faced up until now. And I do like Dan Hooker. I think he's a great personality. He's a great fighter. I love what City Kickboxing are doing. I think they're a fantastic gym, fantastic family of fighters. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about them moving over to the States because of the whole situation with COVID. And of course, Dan Hooker has been in America since 2006 as well. He's been training at Syndicate MMA. He's been putting in the work. I was listening to him talk in the Tory Costa press conference that he did. He made that little press conference after that fight going out with Makhachev, and he said he's been living with a wrestling coach. Now, going into the fight with Makhachev, I can't think of anyone better in the team that you have brought with you. I don't think there'll be any person now better equipped to be living with you than your wrestling coach for a month or 2-3 weeks since that fight. grinding you down each time you're living together, eating dinner together, going, oh, look at this movement, look at this movement, look at this. This is how you can defend it. And then the next day in the gym, working on it. And, Syndicate MMA's got a fantastic plethora of fighters as well in it now. It's really growing, and obviously being in Vegas, he's got the use of the PI. So he's been well equipped to come to this fight with this Makhachev. And I do think he gets the job done tonight. Now, obviously, Makhachev is a dangerous opponent. Obviously, he's top 5 without beating anyone in the top 10, top 15 even. Possibly, I've not looked at rankings outside the top 10 off the top of my head. But, obviously, Khabib scored him pretty much top 10 pound for pound right now. And, when you've got one of the greatest of all time, Khabib Nurmagomedov, former lightweight champion, sing your praises, you are going to get more attention, you are going to get more of the push with that as well. So, it is interesting. Obviously, Makhachev isn't Khabib 2.0. He's got better strike, and he's got, a more aggressive sort of nature about him, and more, Khabib's going to hurt you, but he's going to grind you down. He's going to make you tired. He's going to make you want to quit. And that's through taking down a grab. He's not going to throw 1, 2, 3, 4, combinations at you. Step back and then look to take you down. He's going to throw 1, 2 to get in, and he's clinching you, and he's very good at that. Obviously, we saw what he's done throughout his career against the likes of Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, of course. So he did drop, of course, but Makhachev has a different skill set entirely, and he's a different fighter entirely. And he has got a loss in his record. Let's not forget that. Dan Hooker isn't coming to this thinking, oh, he's invincible. He's 20-0. No, anyone that stepped before me has not been successful. As I think that became the case with Khabib Nurmagomedov. Each time he won, the next person stepped in that had a bit more pressure on him, because going, oh, you could be the one to beat Khabib Nurmagomedov, you could be the first one to take his own. And that must be a lot of pressure as a fighter, especially if you're like Dustin Poirier, who's grown mentally. Obviously, we know how good he's been physically in the cage and the skills he possesses, but he's definitely seen mental growth since that fight against Khabib Nurmagomedov, and maybe put into perspective what he wants out of his career now, which probably reflects on why he took the McGregor fights twice. Obviously, the first one to make it 1-1, and then double down, so to speak. Obviously, he gets a lot more money for fighting Conor McGregor than he would have done a Makhachev or Oliveira, because of the eyes that Conor McGregor brings to him. But you don't have that with Makhachev, and I think Dan Hooker has come with the right attitude. He looks very jolly, he looks very jovial. He's been cracking jokes here and there. He's been called out by Hezbollah, who's in attendance tonight. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yes, I do think Dan Hooker gets the job done tonight. I think it does go the full distance, and we'll probably see them get a 50k bonus each, or whoever the victor is definitely walks away with a bonus, in my opinion. And of course, we will go down the full rest of the main card in the watch along at 7 p.m. So make sure to tune in for that. We've got Volkov versus Teixeira. We've got Lee versus Chimaev. We've got Ankalaev versus Ozdemir in the light heavyweight division. Fantastic fight for Ankalaev. Is absolutely devastating in this division. Ozdemir looking to get that win back since that loss to Yuri Prohaska. And of course, we've got Amanda Rivas also looking to get another win after a loss to Marina Rodriguez against Verna Jandiroba tonight in the prelims headline, I guess you could call it. Outside, you got Tukagov versus Ricardo Ramos, the Leroy Murphy derby, I'm going to call it, but Leroy Murphy's lighting the cage now. He's on his back against Makwan Amikani. Let's go, the miracle. We've got Durai versus Kopilov. We've got Zaleski versus St. Denis. We've got Electric versus Gamzatov. We've got, of course, Amikani versus Murphy going on right now. Obviously, Leroy Murphy's fourth fight in the UFC, fourth appearance in Abu Dhabi, yet to be defeated in Abu Dhabi. 3 wins and 1 draw against a top competitor. It might be 2 wins, 1 draw, and this is his fourth fight in Abu Dhabi. My apologies. And also, we've had 2 fights go on since then. Before this, with Petrosky and Ulanbekov getting wins, 1 split decision win in the first fight, and an arm triangle for Andrei Petrosky, of course, came out the Ultimate Fighter this year. So yes, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. We will see you at 7 p.m. for the watch along. Make sure to go give Gary a follow at Europe MMA. Make sure to go hit MMA Casual to subscribe. They're a fantastic podcast, especially if you're someone who isn't full sort of breakdown, sort of full MMA science, I guess you could say. It's more of a casual chat. Very much how we like to do it here as well. So yes, make sure to tune in at 7 o'clock. and enjoy the fights. It's an early one, isn't it, for the European fans? For the American fans, it's mid-morning there right now. So yes, I'll see you guys on the next video.